Welcome to This Just In with This Just In as your host, Justin Core. This is a show where we take a deeper dive into the stories most important to you and the topics most important to you and the sports most important to you with the people who bring you those stories and those sports. That was a little tease too. Our returning correspondent today would be Sports Director Jay Tust. Jay, I can't believe you came back.
I didn't want to, but I was told that I had to. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm messing with you.
Jay has this joke where he pretends like he doesn't absolutely adore me.
Right. Hey, my dad, like, if I'm not sarcastic with somebody, that probably means I don't like you. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God, what did I do?
Exactly. If I'm just like straight being nice to you, kind to you all the time, you should probably question if we're friends or not.
So if Jay Tust comes in the morning and he asks me, it's like, hey, Justin, good morning. How's it going? I'm like,
yeah,
what do you mean by that?
What did I do to you?
Dare
yeah, exactly.
you?
Yes, correct. That is.
How dare you, Jay Tust?
Just how I was raised, Justin. Just how I was raised.
So we're going to talk a lot about the Broncos, Bronco football, coming up in just a second. First, though, I've spent the past couple episodes speaking French, sometimes actually doing it, sometimes pretending, with our guests. Jay, are you lowering your chair?
I'm just lowering it a little bit. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm getting into the mic right away.
Okay, I might have been leaning down.
I got a tall
too much.
torso. So.
You can take the two-shot on me. Yeah. Let's see. Does that look
even.
right?
See, I just got a tall torso.
You really do.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why you were good at baseball? Big strike zone?
I always so Michael Phelps, the gold medal swimmer.
I've heard of it.
Like if you saw it, they once did just basically a breakdown on his body, and he's got a longer torso, shorter legs like me. He's got wide, big feet. I just got wide feet.
Okay.
And he's got long arms. I don't really have long arms, but like if you could have like genetically engineered the perfect body for a swimmer, he's actually got it, right? So I don't know. I have no idea what that means for me. I just have a long torso and kind of short legs.
Did you ever try swimming?
All the time in my grandma's pool, with floaties and stuff.
You could have been an Olympic medalist. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I could have. I just should have leaned into it. Dang it.
No, the dream was too big to be the sports director at KTVB. I'm sorry. Looking at your watch already. Am I keeping you from something?
You know how it is. Everything is just like
you're connected.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, but no, I actually did take French in high school.
You remember the question from 2 minutes ago.
Yes,
fantastic. You did take French in high school. How many years?
I took 2 years in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. It was to fulfill the requirement that we all had to take, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest with you, I based my decision off of there were more cute girls in the French class. Yeah, in middle school. Yeah.
100%, bro.
I will say my mom also loves like the French culture and stuff like that. So if you actually needed somebody to speak French on this show, she would be your person. I've forgotten like all of it. Est-ce que je peux tailler mon crayon? I think that means can I sharpen my pencil, please?
That is what it means, I think.
Yeah, I know. You
got crayon, right?
I barely remember it.
You remember more than I do.
Okay.
I took 4 years.
Oh,
French
wow.
student of the year, senior year. No big deal.
No big deal.
That is
okay.
That is awesome. But speaking of the class makeup, absolutely. It was like 30 people in my third and fourth year of French class. There were like 27 girls.
Yeah, see?
3 dudes.
I will say if I could do it over, then I would absolutely do Spanish because I might actually like use that. I don't.
Right.
100%.
You could be on KTVB Espanol.
I know, right?
Get 2 paychecks that way.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing that. Heck yeah. I would have done it. I wasn't really thinking at the time. It also worked with baseball and stuff, but I chose French when I was in 7th grade, and I just kind of committed to it for a couple of years. So.
That would have worked great with baseball, actually. Since we talked last, you announced that you and your wife are having kid number 3. We have a picture of the announcement. I hope we can bring them.
I thought you were seeing a picture of the kid.
We got.
What do they look like? Okay.
I mean, we do have a picture.
Those are my kids
5
now.
of them, actually.
Yeah.
5 pictures right there, and your other 2 adorable children. That is awesome. Talk to me about this adorable announcement right here. Oh, it's up right here on the big board.
We love baseball, if you can't tell. Brooks is rocking a Ken Griffey Jr. jersey, so I won that argument.
That is gorgeous.
I did have to Collins had to put on a Yankees hat since my wife is and so that's kind of the way that
your daughter is adorable, even with that terrible looking hat on her. Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty rad though, and we're not finding out either. We're gonna be surprised. Boy, girl.
Wow.
We're waiting for the day.
Okay.
So with my first, we found out with her just because it's so chaotic. Like I feel like there's enough going on. We just wanted to be prepared. With Brooks, though, we waited, and it was just like a big surprise. And so now we just want a happy, healthy little baby, and we're good.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So number 3, you talked about this maybe being your last, but Jay.
No, yes, it is. I saw this question.
Are
no.
you going to let Brian Holmes beat you? He's got 4.
Oh, why'd you have to phrase it like that? Oh,
'Cause
man.
I'm stirring that pot.
Yeah, you are stirring that pot. In this case, yes. Man, I'm going to have to talk to your show producer, JustIN Core.
That's me.
Because I sent back the email crossing that line out because
Did you really?
there's no way. We are good. We are good at 3.
I don't.
But please tell me, a lot of people out there that have more than 3, they always say or often say that going from 1 to 2 was a bigger transition than going from 2 to 3. And God, please let that be true.
I can't.
Just please let that be true.
I mean, I can't tell you. I can tell you that, and Maggie would admit to this. She would love to have a few more, and it's like, my gosh.
I know Maggie is.
But she's
like
super mom, right? So it's like when you're great at something, just keep on doing it.
I have no clue how she does what she does. I'm not gonna lie. She's super mom. She's super anchor. No. She's like super lady. She's super woman.
Right?
She's all
of it. No, yeah.
Super social media. She's seriously like Maggie's incredible.
She could be a momfluencer if she wanted, but instead works with me every morning. Wild, terrible decision. Let's talk about names for your kid. I have some suggestions.
I like these.
You don't? Okay. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Ken, Griffey, Junior, Jay. Not for you, Jay Buhner.
This is where you lose me. You
don't like Jay Buhner?
No. The next set is where you lose me. Yes.
Justin, Justine, Corey, Corinne. Any of these sound good?
I've already been shot down on King Griffey Jr. Tust.
Just one of those.
When I was like 5, I actually thought I was related to Jay Buhner because that's when you start to figure out.
Oh, really?
I thought.
Oh.
That's where you find out like names mean something, right? And it's like, you have a last name Tust, so this is who you're related to. And I was like, well, if that works, like Jay Buhner's got the same first name as me, so we're good, right? Like me and Jay Buhner are brothers, basically. Yeah, definitely not. When I was 5, it sounded incredible.
I still choose to believe that.
Yeah. When I was 5, it sounded incredible because he was dropping bombs for the Mariners and playing a great right field.
Hitting them into the boneyard.
Yeah, and I was just we're probably related.
He still has like 2 of the greatest Mariners catches ever. Yeah. Like going over
flipping
the wall.
Flipping over the wall in Fenway? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And like disappears and it's like.
Where'd he go?
And then pops back up. I got it. Yep. Oh, my gosh. Would have been their greatest right fielder of all time. Then a guy named Ichiro came along. Yeah. So. That'll happen. There's an announcement now in the station. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're telling us to go to break. Jay, we're going to talk about Bronco football right after this. Jay, are you still adjusting your seat?
No, I was going for a quick drink. My bad.
Go for it. No, it's
we're
fine.
Good.
I know they sponsor you. You can hit that real quick. Welcome back. We're totally ready to have you back. Let's talk about Bronco spring ball. Jay Tust. Jay, first off, just what's your overall reaction to what you saw from Boise State's spring practice and their scrimmage?
Yeah, it's so crazy, Justin, how quickly we move from one season to the next, right? Yeah. And so the Ashton Jeanty hype hasn't even died down yet, and we're trying to figure out who's next. And I just think that it goes back to they got the right leader in place. Spencer Danielson is just an awesome human being, and I think he's really building a program and a culture the right way. And this guy right here, Malik Sherrod, man, did he pop during the scrimmage. He's a transfer from Fresno State. The portal giveth and taketh this year. Well, it giveth with Malik Sherrod. He's going to be a big-time player for the Broncos this fall as they try to replenish the backfield and replace Ashton Jeanty.
So speaking of Danielson, let's hear his reaction real quick and then more from Jay on the other side.
Awesome to get out in front of Bronco Nation. I think we talked about 7,000 fans. They're seeing them come out in April to support their team. And I talked to our team about it. I mean, this Bronco Nation is the greatest fan base in the country, and I'll be the first to admit that. And so getting an opportunity to see a lot of them, autographs, for them to be around our players, that's different. And it's a very special situation. Can't wait for us to go play game one, but we got to handle the process to get there. So proud of what we did. I think it was some good back and forth today. Obviously, in the first half, went wrap to keep guys off the ground. There was some good back and forth there. Then we were able to go cut it loose a little bit in the second half, see some guys break tackles, see some guys make some tackles. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff on film. And I told our players this morning, I want them to go cut it loose. And at this point, practice 15, this is exactly who you are as a football player. Not how you played last season, not how you played practice 1. You are how you played this spring game, because that's after 15 opportunities. So excited for us to evaluate the film and figure out where we're at, and excited where we're growing to.
So let's go position group by position group. Quarterbacks, Maddox, Madsen, the guy, even though some fans weren't really happy with his performance against Penn State, but it needs to be stressed. Penn State is going to get a lot of first-place votes. They are the pick of a lot of people to win the national title this year.
Yeah, they return a heck of a quarterback in Drew Aller. They bring back some pieces for the Nittany Lions. But when it comes to Maddox Madsen, last year as a sophomore, I think he was exactly what the Boise State football team needed last year when you had a talented running back like Ashton Jeanty. And I think that he'll make a step forward this year. I think that they'll throw the ball more this year. In his post-spring press conference, Spencer said, we want to be a 50-50 balance with pass and run. Personally, I still don't think that's going to be the case. They're going to run the football. They have elite running backs, which we'll get to in a minute here. But probably what more concerns me than Maddox, who I'm not really that concerned about, is what's behind him. They're very, very young and very, very inexperienced after that. Caleb Annett had some really nice moments in the spring game. Yeah. But he is still only a redshirt freshman. He's barely been on campus for a year, and he's never played in a college football game before, right? So, but beyond him, you have a former walk-on. There's just not a lot of depth and experience there. And why is that important? Well, last year it wasn't, but one of the bigger storylines going into last season was, could they just have a season where they had stability at quarterback, where there weren't guys looking to transfer or guys getting injured, or a lack of communication, whether it be publicly or internally, about who was the starting quarterback at times. I mean, go back to Fresno State in 23. We were told that Taylor Green was a starting quarterback, right? He threw 2 passes in that game. Maddox Madsen threw 41. So there just was a lot of confusion. There wasn't a lot of clarity or transparency in that room. And so they just wanted a healthy quarterback. Well, Maddox did that last year, but that's not always going to be the case. And I think the last time that was the case, you'd have to go back to 2019-18, where they had one guy basically start every game. So they needed to find somebody that can back up Maddox and have a lot of confidence in, and we'll see how that plays out.
And those college football seasons are getting longer and longer and longer. As long as 17 games, you're not going to have a starter really stay 100% healthy the whole season.
If that's what you're banking on, you're probably going to set yourself up for failure, because it's going to be hard.
You talk about the guys behind him. You're not going to replace Ashton Jeanty.
No.
But what do you do to at least fill the role? Is it going to be running back by committee?
Yeah, for sure. Ashton Jeanty ruined football in the city of Boise forever. He did.
100%, especially those first 6 games last year. It's like, I watched those runs they showed, some of them during the draft. It's like, no. Like, I can't even do that like in video game football, like on easy mode. It's like, I can't do that.
And we got so accustomed to him just saving the day or having these epic runs or breaking tackles that, oh, wow, okay, yeah, he did it. I mean, he almost made it seem mundane by the time we got to November and December. He was incredible, and there's not going to be a player like him ever again. It was like when Nick Patty came in after Kellen Moore, and everybody was like, oh, shorter quarterback, a little under recruited, he'll go 50-3 too. And then Nick never even started a game, right? Yeah. So there has to be realistic expectations, but Sire Gaines is incredible, and he's been injured. He'll be back. He will be incredible. Physical runner. He will be that workhorse running back that breaks tackles, goes between the tackles, brings a real physical style to that group. And behind him, again, Malik Sherrod mentioned him, Breezy Dubar, Dylan Riley, all those guys. I have a lot of confidence in that they're gonna be really good. But yes, it's going to be a collective effort with, I believe, Sire leading the way.
And so if they are going to run the ball 40, 50 times a game, you can't have one guy like Jeanty did carrying it 35, 40 times a game.
You'll have one guy probably with 20, and then the other 3 kind of divvy up the rest, in my opinion. But Malik Sherrod will also make a big presence in the passing game too, I think.
Speaking of the passing game, leading receiver from last year, Gonzo. Are there guys who can step up? You said this team is going to throw more. Who are they going to have, like game breakers, guys who can create separation downfield?
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to kind of group two questions into one here because I'm going to group the tight ends into this because they're that good. I think that at the end of the day, you're going to look at some of the receivers' numbers and think like, oh, they kind of fell off a little bit, but that's because they have an NFL tight end in Matt Lauder, who's one of the best in the country. And so when you pepper your tight end all of a sudden with 60, 70 targets and he has 45, 50 receptions. In a normal year, a Boise State tight end's probably having more like towards 20, 25 catches. So he's taking that away from the receiver group. It's a good thing because he's dynamic, can run after the catch. He's very explosive. But they do need some help in the wide receiver room. And I would expect them to maybe go get a guy in the portal at some point in time. The transfer portal is closed, meaning you can't enter it. But players still have that have already entered it and are in it still have the freedom to go commit to wherever they want, right? So nobody can go in, but you can still recruit who is in the portal, and hopefully that replenishes the Boise State receiving core. The one thing with that, they have guys like Latrell Caples and Austin Bolt, a young kid in Cam Bates, and other guys for sure, Chase Penry. But a number of those guys I mentioned also have had histories with honestly health issues, and so kind of like we talked about at the quarterback position. You need to make sure that you're cool with plan B because those guys, history shows, they've had a tough time staying healthy the whole season.
Let's talk about the offensive line, the guys who are going to be.
Love this group.
Do you really? Fantastic. One of the best, if not the best, O-line Boise State has ever had last year, and that is saying a lot. They have had spectacular offensive line play over the past couple decades. Are they going to take a step down next year, though?
I think that when you like go across the board, I agree with you. That's one of the best collective units they've had on the offensive line
as a whole.
They might have had bigger indivial pieces,
like Ryan Clady.
But I'm telling you, that Clady played left tackle. Cage Casey, their left tackle right now. He is the next in terms of when we're tracking the 2026 NFL draft in Pittsburgh. He's the guy that I believe has a chance to work into that first, second round range. I mean, he is really, really talented. He's another guy that it's not going to get near the publicity that Ashton did, but I'm fairly confident that he was in a very similar situation with people trying to lure him into the transfer portal as well. But like Ashton's path, Ashton forfeited a little bit of money on the front end with NIL, which seemed like a ton at the time.
Yeah. So he was getting like 7 figures, maybe like $1 million offers to leave Boise State.
His dad told me prior to the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and it aired on our special Road to the Heisman. You can watch it on YouTube or on KTVB Plus. But his dad told me that he had, a $1 million offer.
Wow.
And so you look at, what he accepts at Boise State. We don't know the exact figure, but he's forfeiting several hundreds of thousands of dollars, let's call it, at the time. And it seems like, wow, that's a lot of money. Yeah. Right? Well, the 6th pick overall in the NFL draft gets $31 million. $1 million. Even in and I truly believe the best place for Ashton Jeanty was Boise State because look at Ohio State's running backs. They were very, very good, very productive, very explosive, but there were 2 of them. They both split carries and they both went in the 2nd round. If Ashton goes to a situation like that, he's losing $20 million. And so all of a sudden now when we're like, gosh, he's $700,000, whatever you want to call it. Like, man, he's forfeiting that in NIL money. Ooh, did it pay off? And I think that if you're a guy like Cage Casey, you look at that scenario and be like, nah, if this is the best place for me, this is where I can maximize not my, as Sire Gaines once told me, NIL money it can be kind of pocket change, and it appears that way now that Ashton Jeanty has signed a $31 million deal. You can follow that path and really hit it big.
Yeah, compared to the NFL.
And real quick, Roger Carrion, Mason Randolph, those guys are absolute dudes on the offensive line. I mean, outstanding players.
Well, hopefully Jeanty sets the example for other, not only Boise State players, but other players in sort of middle-of-the-road programs. Not middle-of-the-road, but, not elite, not top conference programs. Speaking of the portal on the defensive side, the defensive line, things were looking rough, Jay, but the best defensive lineman they had returned from the transfer portal.
The way that I describe this is Andrew Simpson entered the transfer portal, a really dynamic playmaking linebacker, got into the backfield, especially 2 years ago, and was their game changer on defense, right? He enters the transfer portal, and I think that he's probably their best player to enter the transfer portal. But when it comes to the most important player, that was Braxton Feely. Braxton Feely, getting him back is absolutely massive, Justin. That's another group where they get young and inexperienced in a hurry. Braxton doesn't get enough credit for how good he is, the impact he made on defense last year. He's going to have a great year, and guys like Jaden Virgin Morgan out on the edge are really going to benefit with having a guy like Braxton Feely on the interior, because now all of a sudden you can't just slide protection or double teams solely to JVM side. You have to worry about Braxton Feely in the middle of that defense. Yeah. Getting him back is huge, Justin.
Yeah, key. Linebackers. Some fans might be saying, how important even are they sort of in this scheme?
Yeah. I think that, last year they faced so many teams that kind of had a spread passing attack that they stayed in nickel a lot. So they took a linebacker off the field and basically put a DB on the field, right? And I don't know if that was like completely the plan going in. It was supposed to be Marco Notriani and Andrew Simpson, but just the way things worked out, that was their base defense almost last year.
Sure.
Marco Notriani is a guy that I think he ends up being a household name after the end of the season. Physically, I don't think he's like this. He's not like Leighton Vander Esch or anything like that, but like mentally, he is an awesome kid. He's got great character. He's like that. The jock athlete that's outstanding on the field and also has like a 4.0 GPA or nowadays it's like they come out of high school and they're like, you have a 4.3 GPA. Like, how's it even? My day, that wasn't possible, but they're taking advanced courses or whatever. So yeah. Marco's awesome though. Yeah. Marco and look for a guy, Jake Ripp, number 43. I think he's another guy that with Andrew leaving takes a really big step this year.
Real quick, defensive backs had a terrible year statistically defending the pass. Did Boise State. Are they going to get better this year?
I think so, because they bring everybody back, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? But these guys did show some progress as the season went on. Jeremiah Irby has now had a year to marinate, basically, in Boise State's defensive scheme. I think he takes a step forward last year. The eligibility rules allowed Amarion McCoy to come back. When the season ended, they thought he was gone, and all of a sudden he's allowed back in because Vanderbilt's quarterback Diego Pavia won a situation in court case where if you played in junior college ball, they're not going to count that against your NCAA eligibility. So now McCoy can come back for a year. And, outside of that, they got some depth behind them. Franklin Johnson Jr., they added a transfer out of the portal from Notre Dame at cornerback. So, I think they're really trying to increase the level of competition in that room. Yeah. And I really do think they take I think they'll be better this year than last year. I really do.
And just a few quick sentences about special teams, which could be bad. They lose maybe their best kicker ever and one of the best punters in the nation to the transfer portal. He's headed to Oregon. Kicker graduated. Is Boise State special teams going to be okay?
Honestly, Justin, I am a little bit worried. They're bringing in a kicker from UCF, Colton Boomer. He actually in 2022, awesome last name for a kicker. 2022, he hit the game-winning kick here in Boise when UCF knocked off Boise State. So he's got some experience on the blue. He's also punted in the past, so he might check both boxes. They really do need him. The guy that's, James Ferguson Reynolds enters a transfer portal, goes to Oregon. That has been, kind of at the forefront of this thing. They're going to really miss Jonah Dalmas. I know that his Fiesta Bowl wasn't great, but his whole career he was really, really successful, almost automatic. And I think that we're going to get into games next year and be like, man, miss Jonah's presence on the field.
Jay, Mr. Inside Bronco Football. We're actually going to talk about a potential matchup between 100 men and an animal next on this Just In. Welcome back. Can you get off your phone a second? These kids, it is the critical question that is sweeping the nation. Could 100 men defeat a silverback gorilla? Silverback gorillas can lift about a ton. They have twice the bite strength of a lion and can move at 25 miles per hour. If there are trees in the environment, there's no way, right? I mean, that silverback gorilla is just tearing through those guys.
I think if there's 100 of them, I don't want to be like the first 20. First 20 are going down. First 20 men are going down.
That's the thing. Do you think 100 men can even get on the same page enough where they'd be like, all right, us 20 are going to sacrifice ourselves?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if
Gladiator days or something.
I do.
Somebody wrote on it's actually a red board with a white pen in the newsroom.
Yes.
That if Brian Holmes was one of the men, that no doubt the gorilla wins. So if Brian Holmes is just one of I have no idea. They have really nice handwriting.
All righty.
Great handwriting.
Well, that question's been talked to death. What about a different question? What about our alma mater's mascots? Mine a Bronco. I take a Bronco against 100 men. Their kicking power.
Oh.
They kick a few, run away, kick a few more. Like you can't catch up. Where are you going to grab? You're done. What about your alma mater's mascot? A cougar.
I go back to Paul Wolf's introductory press conference, one of the worst head coaches in Washington State history, but he also delivered one of the most epic lines talking about our rivalry with UW. Huskies may bite and bark, but cougars hunt and kill.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom. Animals are winning. That's why they're called the Animal Kingdom. If you got comments, questions, maybe you have a problem with our picks there for 100 men versus whomever, text them to 208-321-5614. It's the same number as the 208, but I also look at these as well. Use the different hashtag JustIN. We'll see you next time here on KTVB Plus.